It's us again. Well, if you've never been here before, who are we? We're Ian and Jace. Jace? We're Ian and Jane, and we are reviewing the Edinburgh Fringe, and this is show 4 of day 8. And this was Tandava. I'm really rubbish at pronouncing it.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Tandava. Tandava, sorry. It's Indian. And this was, it's under the Dance, Physical Theatre and Circus. It's not circus, but it's under the Dance, Physical Theatre and Circus. Certainly dance, it's certainly physical theatre. This was my choice. What attracted me was the fact that it was Indian dance with music composed for classical guitar, which is obviously is very Western, and that sort of just interested me. I wanted to see how it was performed. I'll read the bit off the Fringe website so you get a feel for it. So, primal rhythmic energy and the impossible union of opposites. And actually, there was a little bit of instruction at the beginning of this, and they did talk about the opposites. I mean, that bit was quite funny because they said about Simon, the classical guitarist, was 6'2" or something like that, really tall, and the three Indian dancers were all about 5 foot odd. So there was those sort of opposites going on as well. Tandava sees the coalition of Scottish guitarist Simon Thacker's startling passionate sound whirls with the infinite expressive physicality of the three gifted dancers from India's, is it Piah?
Yeah, I think he said, he called it Piah.
Piah, apologies, Piah's dance company. Tandava finds exhilaration in uniting polarities, explosive guitar wizardry, and stunning intricate footwork with haunting beautiful melodies and delicately fluttering fingers, multi-layered choreography and ecstatic rhythms. And tonight was their opening night, so tonight's the 18th, and I just thought I was captivated by the whole thing, really. They played 4 pieces of music, and so it was in 2 halves, really. There's no break in the middle, but because it's only for like a 50-minute. Is it 50 minutes or an hour? It's 50 minutes. 50 minutes. So, but they explained the first 2 pieces, the background to them. Simon explained musically, and then Piah.
Well, actually, we never.
That was her name, though. It's her dance company.
Oh, right, okay.
So is it Piah?
Piah.
Piah. And Piah explained so the moves, or the background to...
well, it was a lot. It was all based on Indian folklore.
Which was fascinating,
it was
actually.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And we're not going to go anywhere near that in terms of explaining it because we can't. But it was absolutely captivating, the dancing and the playing. Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say.
No.
And actually, half the time I didn't know whether to look. I didn't know whether to look at Simon and playing because I was interested in how he was playing and what he was playing. Yeah. But also, I was absolutely captivated by all 3 dancers. I thought it was absolutely stunning.
I had the same problem. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah. I wanted to watch both, but you wanted to watch Simon's playing. Quite a lot of the time as well as obviously watch the dancing. And the third piece, because there were 2 pieces, then they
an explanation,
and then they played those 2 sort of back to back, and then the explanation to the third piece, Simon said there was a lot of improvisation. And that I noticed that with him because he was actually reading music for the other 3 pieces, but for this third piece he didn't, and that was quite interesting because it was harder for me to see the 3 women improvising. Really? Yeah, I mean I could, but I was trying to work out, was somebody following somebody,
I suspect they were following his playing. I mean he played with an echo pedal, and it was a 600 millisecond delay that he had on it, because he explained that to us. So he was playing to his own, knowing that the repeat would come in, and he was obviously improvising around that. Not fully, I'm sure he worked out certain bits. Certainly towards the end, you could tell where the improvisations were coming. And I think the dancing was, although some of it was set pieces, because they were moving together.
Exactly.
But I think you would probably find that some of, and you're right, it's harder to find or see where their improvisation bits were.
It still appeared choreographed to me,
yeah.
because they were often doing the same movements. But I was trying to look if there was a subtle way in which one of them was taking the lead, and which I may have missed because I might have been watching Simon.
Yeah,
at that
exactly.
point.
Yeah.
But there was one part of it where Simon suddenly played some very loud strumming, and I won't give it away, but then the dancers did something, and I sort of missed the actual moment because I was watching him.
Yeah, I mean, I did too, actually, because it wasn't just him strumming, it was actually him using the whole of the guitar as a drum, and using that echo.
It was very dramatic, and very loud, and you suddenly looked at him.
I missed exactly the width, because they were doing things with skirts. One thing I will say about the skirts, and this is back to the first piece, there's a bit where they all sort of sit down, and how they got all of their three skirts to look perfectly.
Oh yeah, like circles.
Circles, because the first part was all about circles, and that's not giving any away because they told us that before. And I was amazed at that, and obviously it's how they sat down or how they moved the dress before they sat down. But all three were perfectly. And I was mesmerised by. I was fascinated by that. You know. And
it was. They moved beautifully, and there was some. I mean, I've seen little bits of traditional Indian dance, and it was great watching hand movements, feet,
and the head. Well, it's all the whole body thing. I mean, when they moved in synchronized together, it was absolutely spot on. It was like, and they used. I can't remember what that instrument is. They had an instrument with a bow at one point, just towards the end of the first piece. I've forgotten what it is actually.
Right.
I think it's some sort of a saw. Anyway, But they hit the floor. They clapped. They had bells. They had it wasn't little tambourine, but little bell set up. And then in one of the other pieces, they had little sets of bells on their feet. So they were also playing the percussive parts as well. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. And it's not normally the sort of show that we would go and see would be a dance show. We'd normally, but it just caught my imagination when I was looking through the Fringe programme.
I enjoyed the mix of the two that you wouldn't necessarily think go together.
No,
but they did.
But it did. It really, really worked.
Yeah.
The business about this impossible union of opposites. Well, this is possible because I thought it was really, really. I mean, the music was great and the dancing was superb. All four of them together. It's great. I was thinking all the way through because obviously this is an international show because they've come over from India, and how have they got together is one question. I'm assuming that they worked on the dances back at home, and maybe Simon sent them over recordings, or something like that. But I was fascinated by.
But he was obviously, involved, and obviously because it was a collaboration.
It's a collaboration between the two.
But he, when they did the sort of little bits of description at the beginning, which were, like Ian said, absolutely fascinating, and it was important to know those because those had been the source of his guitar playing and the dances. He did a lot of the talking about
the explanations.
he did,
which
which was great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was, and that really puts it in context. Because first one was about circles, the second one was about lines. I won't say what the third and fourth were on because that's a surprise when you go and see it. Because it's worth. I mean, you know, I can't stress enough how it should be seen. It was pretty full. I think it was pretty much sold out tonight for the opening night. You know, so that, you know, it's definitely worth seeing. It's at the Space at Nidri Street Upper Theatre, and it's on right the way through until the 26th, excluding the 21st, which is Monday, and an average price is £12 full price, £10 concession.
And does that mean it's sold out on that day?
No, it's just the one. That's the one I clicked on. Okay. Yeah, no. Sorry, on the little Fringe thing, it's black, but it just means that that's the day that I picked.
Right.
So it's on at 8:25, 50 minutes every day except the forthcoming Monday. I'm going to give it a really good 4.
Yes, I would give it a very good 4.
Yeah, it's definitely a fantastic piece of work and really, really interesting. Even if it's, you know, I mean, even if you're not into classical music or Indian dance, just go and see it because it's just the combination of both together is absolutely brilliant, really.
It's great.
Thanks so much for watching. Anything else from you?
Nope.
So we will see you tomorrow for more fun. We've got 3 shows tomorrow, I think. So thanks so much for watching. Good night.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.